Team makes, feel the same to win. Play for makes breaks, one comes always score. If it hurts, the game breaks, no against you, don't let up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the game, tap, this win it in. Press you again, we're here for the breaks made. Can't everybody keep it every 60 minutes.
We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. They said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
The culture that Hype and everyone has created in this building, it's been phenomenal on teams, and we're only going to continue to be better. And the standard around here, I've said it before, I'll say it again, standard is to be the damn best. And we're never stopping.
It's, here it's Tennessee, so, we're going to get the best guys here. That's just every year. Every time we're out there, it's competition. Nobody has a spot, nobody's comfortable. We're all working to get better.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
Oh my God, we should leave it at that.
Okay.
We should close with that. That is the mind blower of mind blowers.
Good. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It's Monday morning. Hope you guys have your cup of coffee. Sit down. Let's talk some football. Let's see if we can talk ourselves off the ledge. How you guys feeling on this Monday morning? I feel like apathy has set in with this fan base. I feel like a lot of people are done. They're ready to move on to 2024. Hopefully we can get Cainer on here, and he can talk some sense into us. Don't worry, he's got the link. Don't worry, he's in the back room. Don't worry, Cainer's ready to go. Don't worry, he's not going to host the show alone. I promise. I've made that commitment to you guys. So has Spectrum Internet. They've made that commitment to the Talkin VAWLS family, to the cult. Let's see who's in the chat. YouTube Gamer Vibes is here. Says, good morning. What's up, my friend? Daniel Campbell is here. Noah James, Justin Sanday, Scott Bennett's in the house, says good morning. He looks like he is full of energy this morning. Turkey Slammer is here. What's up, brother? Mikey McMahon is here. Ball fan in the Air Force. Dylan Elam, David Franklin. Look who else is here. This guy, Coach Jay, creating divide in the cult. He has started his, it's like the NWO Wolfpack. You guys remember that back in the Monday Nitro days, NWO Wolfpack? Well, the Cult of 8 is a new thing around here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, and you guys are jumping all over it too. There is more of you guys. Isaac Owen says Cult of 8. Fuzzy says Cult of 8. Oh, well, look, you can go get the brand new merchandise at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We have official Cult of Eight t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, whatever you guys want. Get in where you fit in, but enough shills and plugs. Smash a thumbs up, share it out, all that stuff. Let's have some fun.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Cainer?
What's up, man? Good Monday morning. Holiday week, last week of the regular season. Busy times.
Oh, man, we're going to get into that and talk about it. You know, you say all the time you only get 12 of these things, and we're going to do that. We're going to kind of skip ahead of Vanderbilt, right? You got to enjoy them all. We're going to skip right over Vanderbilt and go to talking about this coaching staff, what they've done in year 3 under Josh Heupel. But let's start, man. The loss to Georgia felt like it's almost comical. Talking about, you know, people want to fire Tim Banks, they want to fire Willie Martinez, they want to make all these moves. It was like just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about how this team was improving. They were playing some of their best football. Joe Milton was playing better. But then 29-point loss on the road to Missouri, 28-point loss at home to Georgia. This fan base has kind of turned a little bit. But what are your thoughts coming off the loss to Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, just back-to-back weeks of just getting your face kicked in. It's not fun. I recognize that. And again, I like to be level-headed. I certainly don't think I'm a hater. I don't think that I'm a sunshine pumper, but I mean, that game went about like I thought it would. I thought Georgia would win by 2 scores at least. I thought the line at 10.5 was incredibly too low, just to be completely frank with you. And it was what it was. Now, I would have liked to see more points. I thought Tennessee would be a bit more competitive. And again, like we talked about last week, it's not that you lost, it's kind of how you lost. I mean, Georgia's good. Georgia's the best team in the country, in my opinion, and I don't even think it's close. Would have liked to have seen, some more fight from the offense and the defense, after that first play, which was great, of 75 yards to the house. After that, there was just not a whole lot of anything to cheer about. So it just kind of is what it is. I mean, again, Georgia's gotten better as the year's gone on. They've gotten healthier as the year's gone on. Carson Beck, once again, tore Tennessee's secondary apart. Why was that? Well, Tennessee was getting beaten man coverage by better players and playing too soft in zone. And, the front wasn't getting back there and applying any type of pressure. That Georgia offensive line's good. I get that. 9 sacks in 10 games. I get that. But we just seen this story so many times. So it's not fun. Was expected. At least the lopsided score to an extent was expected in terms of what I thought. But I understand. Still not a whole lot of fun to watch it go down.
It's kind of funny. After my appearance on Locked On Vols last week, when you left me hanging, you kicked me off the show going out saying 0% chance, no optimism. I didn't have a redemption story from that, but yet still I'm hearing in the chat and in the comments that I said Tennessee was going to win the game. I'm trying to figure out where some of these narratives come from. The game did go as expected, and I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you look at the overall picture of this story, we're both at 9-3. Most people were at 9-3. That's what they kind of expected, was a little step back. But when you just look at the way it played out, right, the loss to Florida, that you were favored by a touchdown, and you go and you lay an egg in that game when you had an opportunity to win. That's the one that you look back on. Of course, Missouri, like you said, it's how you lost. It's getting beat down. I think if Tennessee goes up there to Missouri and they play a tight game and lose, this fan base isn't panicking or freaking out over the loss to Georgia. I think it's all about, and it's a lot of times when you do those preseason predictions and expectations, you always throw that little asterisk out there of, well, it's how do they get to 8-4? And I think that's what stings about where this football team's at right now.
Again, like you say, you were a touchdown and then some, I believe. Wasn't it like 8.5? Wasn't it 9? I can't remember. But on the road favorite at Florida, and you just lose to a team that is not good. Knew it wasn't a good team going into it. Certainly not been a good team since. We've known that, and that's frustrating. You have a 20-7 lead on the road at Alabama, and you really dominant at points and times in that game, and you weren't finishing in the red zone, though, settling for field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. And you were just like, man, that's going to come back to get you, and it did. And then, of course, just losing the way you did at Missouri. And again, the Georgia fiasco is what it is, in my opinion. I mean, you love to see a more competitive football game, but once the week kind of got here, it just was what it was. Like we said, it kind of went as expected. I think at the end of the day, going into its preseason, summer talk, all that type of stuff, we both were one game lower than what we thought. We both thought it was going to be 9-3. I wasn't expecting the quarterback play to regress this much. Knew it was going to take a step back because Hendon Hooker was elite. There's not many elite guys out there. Knew it was going to take a step back. I just think it proves that to win in the college football, you gotta have really good quarterback play, and Joe Milton's not been that for Tennessee. So I mean, the quarterback play was not as good as I thought it was going to be. The lack of explosives, the receiver group. I know Tennessee lost Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt and Velus Jones 2 years ago and all that, but man, I thought this group was going to be much better, and that's been one of the things I've been wrong about this year. The wide receiver room has not been good this year for Tennessee, so I was wrong about that. But you still look at it from a whole. It doesn't feel like it the last couple of weeks, but the defensive line's gotten better. When the defensive line was playing well, yeah, the secondary was playing pretty well. Kamal Hadden was playing pretty well. Now he's hurt. The last couple of weeks, you hadn't got to the quarterback, and it's kind of exposing them. So it's all tied together. I just think that at the end of the season, the offseason, it's the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You get that game at Florida. You hold on at Alabama. I mean, I think it certainly changes the tone of the season, when you're sitting here in December and January.
Yeah, let's talk about quarterback play. Something we talked about last night on our fan call-in show. Something that a question was posed to me Saturday as the game was wrapping up. Everybody's talking about Joe Milton. Do you think it takes an elite quarterback for this Josh Heupel offense to work? Look, you've scored 17 points combined in the last 2 weeks, and if you really want to hate on Joe and take shots and throw darts at the dartboard back here on Joe Milton, if you take that pick six, really this offense has netted 10 points in the last 2 weeks. There's a common theme here. When you struggle to run the football, Joe may not be to blame for the 4 losses, but he's never going to pick this team up and put them on their back and go out and win a football game. He's just not. The conversation last night, name one game Joe Milton won this year. I'll wait. I'll be waiting for the rest of the show because you can't name a single game that he's gone and won. Does it take elite quarterback play for Josh Heupel's offense to click?
I don't know, man. Hendon Hooker wasn't elite in 2021. And that offense went. That offense was top 10. I mean, it was a 7-5 record to get that. But it took Hendon a couple of games to kind of get in the groove of this offense. I mean, it was brand new to him at the time. But I wouldn't consider, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't consider Hendon Hooker elite in 2021. He was good. So I would say, no. It doesn't have to be elite to, you don't have to have an elite quarterback for this offense to go, but it certainly helps. Hendon Hooker was elite last year, and then some of these other quarterbacks that Josh Heupel's had over the years, Drew Lock, Dylan Gabriel. I mean, they've been considered elite quarterbacks. But I don't think you have to have elite. I mean, you just have to be better than like how many of these deep balls have just been. It's like I break it down and I take notes and everything, and I get on my show on Monday morning. And I'm like, yeah, Joe Milton was 1 of 5. You're throwing the ball down the field, but oh my gosh, this one was so close, and this one was just, man, you got to make a play on, and this one just. How many of those do you come down with that can kind of change that stat line and? Maybe he's not elite, but maybe he's much better than that he is right now. I don't know. It's literally a game of inches. But to answer your question, I don't think you have to have an elite quarterback. I just think you have to have a guy that can have explosives, that can have great situational awareness, which I think it's been lacking at that position this year, and to be a leader of this football team. And I think if you have those, you don't have to be super elite, but you need to be good. You need to be above average. I think there's a difference in being above average and elite. I think certainly you need to be above average, but you don't have to be elite.
And I got to be careful with the way I word this when you talk about Hendon Hooker, because what he did last year was incredible. He should have been at New York. We all are in agreement on that. Is Hendon Hooker really elite? Because a lot of the talk, right, when we're going into the NFL draft from other fan bases, from people in the media, was that Hendon Hooker's not an NFL quarterback. He's a product of a system, right? But then when he's gone, now all of a sudden it's, well, Josh Heupel's system doesn't work unless you have an elite quarterback like Hendon Hooker. When Hendon Hooker transferred in here from Virginia Tech, nobody's going, that's the savior of the program. That's an elite level quarterback. So, that it's just interesting to me. I agree with you. I don't think you need to be elite, but I think you've got to be quick making decisions. I think you got to be efficient. You got to be accurate. And Joe's missed so many deep shots. Coach Jay in the chat, he's the one that started the cult of 8, created the divide in the Talkin VAWLS cult. But he sends me screen captures every week of guys wide open down the field that Joe missed. Gary Danielson points it out on the broadcast. You got to see when you've got guys running free, but then on top of that, you got to be able to connect. You had Squirrel White wide open. You don't connect.
Let me get your take on this. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like Joe played bad the other day. Okay, Joe played bad. I'm not trying to say that, if you had this, Joe played bad. The fourth down throw to the end zone. I mean, God, have we not learned anything in the 3 years we've been here? I mean, take something off that, right? I mean, Chaz Nimrod's beating a defensive hold. He was open. Like just hit him. Or take off and run for the touchdown. There's that. Missing a wide open squirrel that you mentioned, down the seam. Missing squirrel on a slant so high. I mean, it's the same stuff. But, man, that Keaton ball, yes, it was a great play by Lassiter. Go make a play. That Webb throw to the end zone, I get it. It was a ball only to where Webb could get it, and he threw it to the sideline side so that, you didn't have a chance to pick it off. It would have been a tough play. It's not routine. Go make a play, man. Chaz Nimrod's getting held in the end zone. Like, ball's slightly underthrown. Go make a play. Like, I feel like you're playing the number one team in the country. You're down a couple scores. Sure. I mean, could the throws be even better? Yeah, but I mean, you're giving yourself an opportunity. And if you had a Cedric Tillman that go wrestle that ball away, if you had a Jalen Hyatt that's 5 yards behind the end zone or behind the secondary, they're making plays, and that's also something you're not getting this year. It's been like that from week one. Whenever Ramel Keaton dropped that ball against Virginia, like, you're just not getting that type of play out wide either. So again, Joe's not been good. I'm not going to sit here and say that he was the other day because he wasn't. But that whole operation all year long has just been, I think the word's just disappointing, really.
Yeah, guys, we got almost 200 people watching. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Monday morning. Make sure you do smash a thumbs up. Look, every one of you guys snuck in here without paying the door fee. I will forgive you if you will quickly hit that thumbs up. I will allow you to sneak in the back door and hang out with me and Cainer on this Monday morning. Let's stick with the offense a little bit because you're right. It's not all on Joe. And look, I've said that all year. It's you got to spread it out. Bail the guy out. When he's not playing great, when he makes a good throw, bail him out. Or just go make a play. I like that mindset. Go make a freaking play. Go be a dog. This team doesn't have any dogs. They don't have any killers. And I think they're lacking some leadership. You got Joe. I almost played the Brew McCoy clip coming off the loss. He's pissed. He's angry. Nobody else seems to care. Like, I shouldn't say nobody. There are a lot of people on this team that care when they lose football games. But your leader is on the sideline dancing and goofing and laughing, and that just pisses. As a competitor, as a guy that played sports my whole life, that pisses me off. It just drives me. And I never played at that level. I never played at an elite level. I'm talking rec league baseball. I'm pissed off. I'm like, you play quarterback for the University of Tennessee. Act like you care. But let's stick with the offense because there is, share the blame around. And one of the things that I keep seeing, and we've had this conversation before, Alex Golish. How much does Josh Heupel miss Alex Golish? And I think there's a lack of creativity. Somebody commented on the stream last night and said they went back and watched the Orange Bowl and that the offense looked completely different. And that's with Joe at quarterback, and that's throwing the ball down the field. That's doing different things. And I know Alex Golish was already gone by that point. Is there a lack of creativity? Play calling, Josh Heupel or Joey Halzle? I don't think anybody knows, but I'm in the boat that I think it's Josh Heupel. What do you grade Joey Halzle his first year as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I mean, Alex Golish is a good coach, and I like Alex a lot. And I think that the staff misses his personality. I know. I think Austin said this maybe a couple weeks ago, but it's true because, I mean, in talking with some people like over the course of the season, Golish would get up there and he has a personality where he's the fiery guy. All right, you're not doing it right. Let me show you how to do it. And if you don't do it again, you're going to sit over there. Like that type of personality. There's not a guy on the offensive staff like that right now, and that's needed, right? You don't need all those guys. You got to love harder than you yell at him, and I think that was Alex Golish. But there's not a guy like that on staff, and so I think that's what the staff truly misses more than anything. Now, he was really good offensive mind, and he and Josh Heupel built a rapport over the 3-4 years they worked together, and it was really, really good. Now, I think Alex Golish called a lot of the plays there towards the end, and I'm with you. I think Josh Heupel, I don't know this for a fact, okay, but I think Josh Heupel's got a heavy dose in the play calling this year. I think they script a lot of things at the beginning of drives, and I think once it goes from there, my opinion is Heupel takes over. But Joey Halsey's been a part of the game planning stuff. He's been a part of running the meeting room and all that for years. I just think that, yeah, sure, there's a learning curve there, okay? There's definitely a learning curve there for Joey Halsey. I think that also you're not having, NFL talent to throw to and Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt. But more than anything, again, I just think it's the quarterback play. It kind of handcuffs you a little bit. It has certainly not been all Joe Milton's fault this year, okay? But like I said earlier, I think that the lack of explosives and the lack of you just can't win in this league without good quarterback play. And I think for the most part, Joe hasn't been what they had hoped for this year. And I think that handcuffs the play calling. As far as creativity, I mean, not a whole lot of creatives whenever you got a guy that's 7 yards behind the secondary with blazing speed like Jalen Hyatt. Some things that, I remember a couple times last year, Jalen Hyatt would be matched up with a linebacker, and I was just blown away. So, yeah, you haven't seen that a lot this year. You did see that little end-around play the other day that I liked a lot where they hid Chaz Nimrod. It's an H behind the guard and the tackle. We saw that last year a couple times, and we hadn't seen that at all this year until the other day, and I like that type of play. But those types of play, maybe a little bit, but again, I think your hands are tied a little bit. That's why you saw so many screen passes at the beginning of the season. That's why a lot of times the middle of the field is just not an option for Tennessee. You got to play to the strengths of your personnel that's out there, and I think a lot of times these coaches don't feel comfortable calling certain plays or going a certain route in a ball game because of the personnel they have. And so, again, long-winded. I think it's a learning curve. I think that, it's easy as a fan whenever the offense isn't good and your offensive coordinator leaves, like, oh, fire Joey Halsey, he sucks. I just think that's a combination of a lot of things. And let's remember, Halsey's been with Heupel for 15 years. He's been in this system. He knows this system. He knows how to play quarterback in this system. It's just, I think, a combination of some things. So, learning curve for sure. I mean, if I'm putting a letter grade on it, probably a C. But, I think that he can get better as the year goes on. Plus, if you get better quarterback play, you're going to get better as a play caller and an OC.
Was the end around, was that the play where they put Dylan Sampson at the quarterback and then he handed it to Joe and then I'm pretty sure, did you catch that? I don't think anybody was really taught. There was a play where they had Dylan Sampson at quarterback. He took the snap, handed it to Joe, and then Joe handed it on the end around. I don't think anybody caught that but me. Did you not see that?
I don't remember. I'll watch the game again. I don't remember seeing that. Maybe, but I mean, I could have missed it. I'm taking notes. I just remember there was motion, and they sent a guy in motion, and then they just kind of handed it to whatchamacallit coming around there. I guess it was Squirrel. Yeah, it was Squirrel, right? Coming around there. They put Nimrod. He was the lead blocker. They gave it to Squirrel kind of coming around, and they had two lead blockers going out there. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dylan Sampson actually took that snap. But for me, the lack of creativity, especially in the red zone, Princeton Fant, like the way they used Princeton Fant last year, and I thought, yeah, Craig J says that Dylan Sampson did take that snap. So that's a little twist. That's a little creativity. Why not, use a guy like McCallan Castles and his athleticism, the way you use Princeton Fant. Like, I just think when you've got a football team that's struggling to score in the red zone, come up with something other than a shovel pass. They use that so much. I just feel like they lacked creativity. Let's talk defensive side of the ball. Everybody wants to fire Tim Banks. Obviously, Willie Martinez, not everybody. Use that term loosely. Willie Martinez, his contract expires in January? This defense, it's just, again, how things change. A couple of weeks ago, we're talking about how the defense, they won the game against Texas A&M. They've continued to trend to get better. You mentioned the pressure, the front. When the front was getting home, this defense sure looked a whole lot better because you were helping out with the way you were getting after the quarterback. Still points per game, still trending down. Tennessee giving up 21.8. That's 1 point lower than last season. You're going to improve that a little bit more against Vanderbilt. I like Tim Banks. I think Tim Banks, once they continue to add depth and talent on this defense, I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I think ultimately he ends up as a head coach. A lot of people right now laughing at me for saying that, but I still believe it. Kind of the same question with Joey Halsey. What do you think of the job Tim Banks has done year 3 under Heupel?
Yeah, Tim Banks is definitely going to be a head coach at some point, whether that's next offseason, 3 off seasons. I wouldn't imagine it's this offseason. He'll be very selective, but yeah, if anybody's laughing at you, I mean, he'll be a head coach here in a couple years. I promise you that. Yeah, again, my thing with Tim Banks, and I like Tim a lot. I think for the most part he's done a good job, especially over the years where he's not just had the horses, right? He gets married to doing a certain thing, and he just won't change it up quick enough, in my opinion. And man, that's been my thing with him all year long. The secondary the other day, I mean, okay, yeah, Wesley Walker, he's out. T-Mac, you thought T-Mac was going to play, gets ruled out in pregame, okay? So you have Turrentine back there at safety. You have Jordan Thomas, who, pretty much played the entire Missouri game. Play 2, Jordan Thomas gets hurt. So then you got Will Brooks, and did he play well? I mean, not great, but my God, Will Brooks held his own a couple of times. I'm telling you, I mean, he wasn't perfect, but I was actually, surprised and happy that Will Brooks, played as well as he did. I mean, he held his own. He knows where to be. He's athletic. He's quick. But my point is, you're playing with your hands tied back there as well. And then you're not getting pressure. You're not bringing pressure. You're not getting pressure. And oh yeah, Georgia's skill guys are really good. It's because they're at Georgia. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. It was frustrating the other day, man. I mean, I like Danico Slaughter. I'm a huge Danico Slaughter guy. I think he needs to be safety 100% next year. He got worked a little bit, and they're really good players. The fact that you don't get hands on Brock Bowers, who's the best player in the country, not getting hands on him on 3rd and 3 in the skinny slot. I wrote about that. I said it on the post-game podcast. I said it on my Monday show. Roman Harrison, if you get 2 mitts on him, messes up the timing, and then that's not a first down. Just little things like that. I like Tim Banks when Tennessee's aggressive, and Tennessee hasn't been. They were a little bit more aggressive on Saturday, but haven't been as aggressive this year, and I think that's kind of hurt them a little bit. But overall, again, I think numbers. You look at the numbers, trends continuing to go in the right way. Tennessee at this point in time is 4th in the SEC or 5th in the SEC defending the run. Remember, they were number 1 before Missouri. They did a pretty good job against Georgia defending the run. So they're 5th in the SEC at 117 given up on the ground per game. Last year, Tennessee was 2nd in the SEC at 115 yards given up on the ground. So right about where they were last year. It's just that the league overall is better at defending the run. So, I mean, you look at the numbers and everything, it's been, continue to be a steady increase, and that things are going the right way. Willie Martinez is the only coach that's not on a multi-year deal right now. So we'll see what happens at the end of February, or at the end of January into February, but he is the only coach that's not on a multi-year deal, and so he would be the only one that potentially might not be here. Of course, everything can happen. Coaches can leave and take other jobs, but that's something to look forward to in the offseason.
Bart Gentry drops a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Bart says, I thought the stadium was going to collapse on that first play. About the time J-Rod saw a crack of daylight, I saw the smoke, and he said, he's gone, boys. What a great way, man. We talk all week leading up to the game how Tennessee needs to start fast. That's exactly what they do, and then the doors just fell off. The big thing is that there's no complimentary football, right? You want to blame the offense, you want to blame the defense. All you got to do is look at the drive chart. Go look at the number of plays, and that tells the story, right? It's like Georgia's putting together 9-play drives, 10 plays, 11 plays. Then you look at Tennessee, and it's 1, 3, 6, 3, 4.
Pull up Donovan's comment over here. Going under center, picking up 4th and 1. Where's that been? I'm with you, man. I love going under center on short yardage situations because Tennessee's so bad. How about you talk about creativity, all right? And when full house set under center, 2 tight ends in the backfield, you've got Brian Grant, a backup offensive tackle who didn't come in the game whenever Dane Davis got hurt, but they put in Gerald Mincey, who was not healthy enough to start. I am just beyond. That's just ridiculous in my opinion. Anyway, Brian Grant was in there tight end. They blocked it well. That was a really good scheme, really good blocking well, but Georgia closed on it so well. So they got the first down. I thought initially they were going to get more, got the first down, and then Georgia just erased it. I mean, that play right there was a perfect example of where Georgia is skill-wise, athlete-wise, and kind of where Tennessee is. Even when you block it up well, you get a first down, you think you're going to get more, just like that, it's erased. And I thought that was a really good example. But there's some creativity. It's not even creative when you go under center, but in today's football it is. But having the full house set, 2 tight ends in the backfield with Jabari Small and then a tackle at tight end on the line, I like seeing that.
You talk about injuries and you talk about the talent gap between Tennessee and Georgia. And I get it, and I know I've heard people talking about it, and we're going to watch the Heupel post-game presser here in just a little bit after Cainer jumps off here. And he says, everybody gets hurt. It's part of the game, right? That you can't make injuries your excuse, but it also exposes where this roster is at. And sometimes I think we forget because we look back to last year and say, hey, 11-win season, let's rock and roll. We're moving in the right direction. But when you go back and you look at recruiting in the class of 2019, the class of 2020, 21, Pruitt, his recruiting years, and you rattle off all the top players, guess what? They are no longer on this football team. And Heupel's done a great job in the portal, adding guys, filling needs. I think he's done a really good job, but sometimes you need to sit back and look at the overall grand scheme of things. Adam Cook for $10 says, I've said all year that 4 losses would cause the disillusionment in this fan base, and here we are. I still don't believe this team underachieved, but now the clock is ticking, and we can't stop it. It's funny, Adam, because I was talking about it before the Missouri game. I kept saying, what if? What if? What if? People said I'm crazy. You're going to go take care of business against Missouri. And then guess what? The what if happened, and everybody's reacting the exact way we said they were going to react. That's just what passionate fans do. They overreact. It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. But, Cainer, let's kind of put a bow on this, and we'll get you off the show. Year 3, Josh Heupel era. How do you kind of think this thing, again, at the top of the show, you say all the time, you only get 12 of these in the regular season. Last year, right? Last year, my narrative was, guys, some of you young ones have never been here. You've never experienced a team like this. Enjoy it. Soak it in. And then I feel like this season, 2023, has been, okay, everybody hold tight. Let's just survive. Let's get through this. And then we'll go play ball in 2024. But bottom line, through 3 years at Tennessee, roster management, in-game decision, recruiting, everything, top to bottom, Josh Heupel, how do you think he's doing at Tennessee?
Real quick before I answer that, did you ever play the? I think it was like a spinoff from Madden, maybe. I mean, I haven't seen it. I'm not a gamer anymore, but there used to be this game from EA Sports called Head Coach, I believe.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
They only put it out for one year. It was 1 year. Yes.
So everybody, this offseason is going to be like, we're playing head coach, right? I mean, who's going? Who's staying? NIL, all this type of stuff. Early signing day. I mean, the roster management, and again, I am in the minority. People say I'm crazy when I say this because I say it all the time. Coaches don't get paid enough right now for all the shit they have to deal with.
Yep.
And the month of December is the hardest month to be a Division I head football coach or an assistant coach, because you're doing all these things. You're preparing for your last game of the regular season. Okay, you're preparing for your bowl game. You're trying to get these guys to graduate and get out. Finish the semester off strong. You're finishing off the class of 2024. You are hosting and pitching and trying to get guys out of the transfer portal. It's like you're playing head coach, right? Get that GM hat on, because it's going to be a wild, wild month of December. So that excites me. I'm looking forward to it, but I know Josh Heupel and other head coaches really probably hate the month of December. Anyway, year 3, assuming Tennessee, I mean, I've got my notes here on Vanderbilt, boys. Vanderbilt is really, really bad football team. I mean, just really bad. They got Will Shepherd. Will Shepherd's a good guy. He should go in the portal and go find somewhere to go play, because he's a good receiver.
That summarizes everything you need to know about Vanderbilt. They have a good player. He should probably go in the portal. That's all. That's all the Vanderbilt preview you're getting this week.
So assuming Tennessee, gets off the deck and finishes off the season the right way, scores some points, plays defense the way that you were playing earlier this year, you finish 8-4. We pulled up a comment, I think it was from Adam, a moment ago about the 8-4. 8-4, the sky is not falling. I agree. 8-4, there's no reason to panic. But in terms of 8-4, I would say it's a bit disappointing. I do, especially the way the season kind of started, what you were doing, where you were at points in time is running the football, defending the run, getting after the passer. At one point in time, you were 6-1. Were they 7-1, Boogie? I can't remember. I know they were 7-2 at one time. But I think finishing the way you did here in the month of November with losses like you did to Missouri, you were going to lose to Georgia either way. But it's still a little disappointing the way that you went out there and only scored 10 points, or scored on the first play and then really didn't do anything from there. I think the finish is disappointing. 8-4 again, sky's not falling. I would say 8-4 is a bit of a disappointment, but I still think overall as a program, the trajectory is still where you want it to be. Got to continue to get some Jimmys and Joes, of course, and I know a lot of people are frustrated. He's not absent of blame, but you're still lucky to have Josh Heupel at the helm, considering who you've had at the helm in the last 10, 15 years. So, yeah. As a whole, a bit disappointing is how, not a disappointment, a bit disappointing how it ended. But, in 2021 in January, if you would have said Tennessee was 8-4 in year 3, jump at that in a heartbeat. And I think that's big picture, I think that's what we need to remember sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I've been talking about the last couple of days, because what else am I going to talk about? How Georgia just beat the brakes off of Tennessee. Like, no, you got to put some perspective on it, grand scheme of things, like you said. And I think, everybody would have said, if you didn't talk about year 1 or year 2, if you told us when Heupel was hired by year 3 we're going to go 8-4, and we're going to just talk loosely about it, he's beaten Florida and Alabama, everybody in this fan base is saying sign me up for that. And then also you got to look at, this is only the 4th time, if or when they go beat Vanderbilt, that Tennessee's won 8 regular season games since Fulmer was fired. 2 of those were Heupel. That's big picture thinking, but I get it. Expectations, they shift, they change, and it's the way you lost, and it's the fact that you were favored in every game but 2, and you came out 8-4, and I get it. Those were, toss-up games. That's why we were at 9-3, right? We're at 9-3, and we're saying, well, it could be Texas A&M, it could be Florida, it could be Missouri, it could be South Carolina. Yep. There were so many different ways that Tennessee could lose. One last question, we'll get you out the door. Donovan wants you to answer, who is the most overrated college coach?
Jimbo for sure. I mean, he got fired, so if I'm allowed to use that one, Jimbo is always my answer. Another overrated coach. I don't know. I mean, Jimbo's just such an easy answer. I don't want to say Dabo because what he built at Clemson was impressive. I think he gets paid too much, but I would just say still Jimbo. Jimbo will get a head coaching job at some point, but he needs to milk that thing out because I want to be a fired football coach for sure. So I would still say Jimbo, even though he just got fired.
Can you imagine that much money to suck at your job? Like, sign
Listen,
me up for that.
No, I agree with you. Somebody said Brian Kelly. Matt said Brian Kelly. As a human being, I'm not a Brian Kelly fan because, I like to think that I'm a good person. And I don't think Brian Kelly's a good person. However, I think Brian Kelly is a good football coach. He was overrated when he was at Notre Dame, I'll say that. But coming to LSU, winning the West in year 1, and sure, you're not going to be in the SEC championship game this year, but the quarterback play you have in Jaden Daniels and everything, I think Brian Kelly's a good coach. So when he was at Notre Dame, I hear you, but I think what I've seen from him at LSU the last 2 years, I wouldn't say that he's in that overrated conversation.
All right, buddy, always a good time having you on. I don't know, we do these through the regular season. I don't know what my schedule is going to be like, but I think we'll probably do a Monday show after the Vanderbilt game, and then we'll do some crossover stuff here and there for the bowl game. And, I want to do a big charity stream again. We did it last year. I know you were a part of it. Some of the other guys in the media were a part of it. I think we're going to do that again, donate the money to the Fisher House Foundation like we did last year. So I'll get with you off air, and we'll talk about that. But as always, man, it's been a fun year. We got a few more of these things left. Appreciate you coming on.
We're gonna do next Monday about Vanderbilt, right? Vanderbilt
Yeah. We'll do next Monday, and then we'll kind of play it by ear from there.
All right. Just making sure. Hey, always appreciate it. Love hanging out with you guys. Everybody have a great Monday and a great Thanksgiving week.
All right, you too, buddy. All right, let's move on with this thing. We got a $20 super chat from the Lazy Llamas. Says, good morning, guys. Am I happy with this season? No. Am I happy with where we are compared to where we were? Yes. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Go Big Orange. Yeah, it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be upset. Look, you've scored 17 points the last 2 weeks, 29-point loss and a 28-point loss. People should be pissed, right? You should be upset. But in the grand scheme of things, I think Josh Heupel is still trending in the right direction. We're going to be watching his post-game press conference here in just a moment. I'm interested to get into this. I always save these to catch them raw and real right here on the channel. I've not seen it. I've heard some of the stuff that he's talked about. I've seen some of it. But one of the things I've heard is that he was rattled. He was pissed. Josh Heupel wants to win. Look at the cover photo for this live stream. Josh Heupel looks like he's been through it this year. He looks like he's been through the ringer. Paul Lindsay for 10. Appreciate that. Paul, very generous. Says, morning, guys. Good show. I hope we have a different offensive script for Vanderbilt. If they've been paying attention, we may be in trouble. I, for one, can't watch that again. My house and TV cannot handle it. LOL. Don't pull a Dustin on us. Paul, don't break your TV. Dustin, a couple of weeks ago against Missouri, broke his TV, had to come on and do the post-game show and then go straight to Best Buy and buy a new TV. Look, Vanderbilt's not a good football team. They're 2-9. They've lost 9 straight games. Their 2 wins over Hawaii and Alabama A&M, and then they lost to 9 straight. Tennessee favored by 26. Just go out and do what you do. I'm interested to see of course, I'm interested to see Nico. I want to see Nico, man. Do they get him involved? One of the things that Heupel talks about on the postgame that I saw out there in the news is that Nico, the plan is now to redshirt him. That was not the plan. That was never the plan. Heupel just said it a couple of months ago. The plan is not to redshirt Nico Iamaleava, but here we are. Now we're going to redshirt him, but guess what? He's got that Vanderbilt game where he can go out and play football. So do they finally bring him into the football game? Do they finally – look, Joe's going to start. It's senior day. Joe's going to start, and he should start because it is senior day, and, it's Vanderbilt. Who cares? Give him his recognition, and I hope this fan base shows him some love on Saturday. Don't boo Joe Milton. Don't do that. Don't do that. But I'm curious to see if they have some series planned for Nico. Does he go out and get a couple of series in the first quarter, second quarter, or is it just mop-up duty? We'll find out. Speaking of Nico, some of you guys are in the cult of eight. You guys are following one Coach Jay. You're splitting off from Boogie and the Talkin VAWLS cult family. So we created merchandise for you. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Look at these brand new cult of eight t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts. We got baseball themed t-shirts, different colors, sizes, whatever you need. We got it. Go check it out at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. If you don't want to be in the cult, that's fine. We got all the other merchandise as well. Talkin VAWLS logo merch. Go check it out. The link is in the description below. Also want to shout out all the members of the channel. If you're not a member, if you're in the chat right now and don't have a power T beside your name, but you like the content, the live streams, the videos, if you're here every time the lights come on, consider hitting that join button down below. There's also a link pinned in the live chat. Right up there at the top, you can see it. You click that link, you join the channel, you can give $1 a month. That's all you got to give is $1. You got $1 to spare, you want to support this channel, consider doing that and becoming a member of the Talkin VAWLS family. If you are a member, keep that thing signed up, keep it going. We are going to continue to talk all things Tennessee football, even throughout the offseason. We're going to do watch parties. We're going to watch Tennessee basketball, Tennessee baseball on air together. We're going to watch the SEC championship together, maybe the national championship, maybe some bowl games. We do all kinds of fun stuff throughout the course of the year. I'm also excited to have Coach Jay again on board. Did a lot of stuff last year, a lot of awesome stuff last year in recruiting. We did some stuff in film breakdowns. And then also we got Coach Rice as a part of the community now, and he wants to get in on that. So we're going to try to be committed to doing some live streams in January, February, March, April. Then once you get into the summer, June, July, covering recruiting and actually doing it in the live stream format so you guys as the community can be a part of it. So consider joining the channel, supporting this channel. During the offseason is when we need you guys. We need you guys to keep the lights on around here. But let's jump into it. You guys know the deal. The back half of the show, we're going to listen to Heupel's postgame press conference. You want to change directions? You guys drive the show. You know how to do that. But let's take a listen to what Coach Heupel said after the loss to Georgia.
Been a lot of good ball played by the Orange in that stadium for a while. Tonight, that was certainly not it. Give Georgia a ton of credit. They're really good football team and have been for a while. End of the day, early in the football game, third downs were a huge part of it. They were able to convert. We weren't able to convert on any of our third down situations. After the initial run by us, we had a little bit of efficiency, but couldn't sustain drives. And when I say efficiency in the run game, but weren't able to sustain anything. They were able to make plays, stay on the field, convert third downs, and score points. Like that we were able to get something out of the 2-minute drive at the end of the half. But defense starts fast in the third quarter. Offense isn't able to put anything together. Just disappointing. Offensively, third downs, 2 of 11, you're not going to win. You look at their conversion rate, that's how you win. So disappointing. We got to regroup. We're banged up. You guys saw that before the game, during the game. This game doesn't care about it. We got to come ready to play next Saturday.
Third down's huge, man, and I know, whether you want to blame the offense or the defense, bottom line is the last 2 weeks, both have sucked. The defense can't get off the field on third down. The offense can't extend drives on third down. Also, I didn't think it was as bad this week. Last week against Missouri, they shot themselves in the foot so many times. They had first and long, second long. This week, I thought they were a little bit better with that, but still just can't convert third downs. I would like to go through the drive chart and look, just series by series. And I'm just glancing here real quick. Georgia's second drive had a 3rd and 7. You hit Brock Bowers for 9 yards. They had a 3rd and 18 that they didn't convert on. Tennessee, 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3 on their second drive. They went 3 and out. You had a 3rd and 3, and you can't convert. And I talked about this, some post-game show, some on the fan call-in show. I felt like Tennessee wasn't committed to the run game. You've got 3rd and 3, run the football. You went to Jalen Wright. He takes it 75 yards on the first play of the game. That second series, he got the ball on first down, didn't touch the football again until the very end of the first half. Lean on the run game. Do you not trust it? Then Georgia's next series, you got a 3rd and 6. Carson Beck runs for 8 yards. You got a 3rd and 5. Guess who? Carson Beck to Brock Bowers. Tennessee's next 3 and out, they had, guess what? Again, a 3rd and 3. I felt like Tennessee did a good job setting themselves up with 3rd and manageable. Again, what do? Do you give the ball to your running back? Do you give the ball to Jalen Wright, the guy that you've leaned on, your workhorse? No. You throw the football. Guess what? It's incomplete, and you punt the football. Next drive for Georgia, they had a 3rd and 8, which turned into a 3rd and 13. Tennessee got a stop there. Tennessee's next drive, what do you have? 3rd and 2. All right, we got a storyline, boys. We got a storyline. 3rd and 2, what do? Do you lean on the run game where you've been successful all year long? No, you throw the football again and you punt. That was a 6-play drive. You got a 3rd and 2 and you punt the football. Do you guys see the theme here? Later in the game, you had a 3rd and 7. You had a ineligible lineman downfield. I think that was when the wide receiver lined up in the wrong spot. Let's continue to look at 3rd downs. 3rd and 1. Oh, here's a conversion. What'd you do? You handed the football to Jalen Wright, and he converts it. All right, am I back? Man, Spectrum Internet, absolute joke. This is an absolute joke. I'm about to start. Can you guys hear me now? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Like, I had them come out and service the equipment. They put a new line from the modem to the pole, or from the house to the pole. They put in a new modem. I bought a new router. They've been working on the lines out in the street. This is ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's see if we can make it through this show. Been a nightmare, man. A nightmare. Maybe it's Cainer. Maybe Cainer's to blame, because it's only when he comes on. My computer's perfectly fine. It's a $1,500 gaming PC. It is all the internet service provider. But we're back. Let's see if we can make it through the rest of the show. Unbelievable. Sam Hyatt says, same for me. It stinks in Northeast Tennessee. Yeah, it's a nightmare, man. It's a nightmare. Like, you pay for a product and it doesn't work, and then they blame you, right? They blame you. Oh, it's your modem. Oh, it's your router. Oh, it's your PC. Oh, it's this, it's that. How about it's you? I see your trucks out here. I see your trucks all over the neighborhood trying to figure it out. All right, let's get new Colt for Spectrum Hate. Let's drive this thing forward and see if we can get through it. All right, let's take a listen. Man, I was on a roll too. I had so much good information on 3rd downs. I don't even know what you guys heard from it. But let's move forward.
Let's start with you. Josh, you mentioned the 3rd down struggles. Defensively, what was Georgia doing to cause issues on those 3rd downs? They were running it past them.
You're talking about from them offensively? A lot of it was in the pass game. At the end of the day, I said it going into it, there's going to be one-on-one situations. They made plays in those one-on-one situations, and that can be protection. That can be giving the quarterback time. It can be making plays out on the perimeter. End of the day, we didn't do those things. You know what I mean? And those plays, those conversions give you the ability to get to the next play. And, they were able to do that. We weren't.
I think in the Georgia game, people that want to blame Tim Banks, I think he tried a lot of different things. I think he tried to play some zone. I think he tried to play some man. I think he tried to bring pressure. And guess what? When he brought pressure, they won the one-on-ones. They just did. Brock Bowers, he won his one-on-one. Tim Banks, you can call the play. But, man, I've sat here and listened to Cain talk about getting hands on Brock Bowers. He said it here, said it on VolQuest, said it on Locked On Vols. You didn't do that. Is that on Tim Banks or is that on, Harrison for not getting hands on Brock Bowers? Is that something they didn't coach? Georgia made plays, man. And that's something Cainer said earlier, too, wishing that Tennessee's wide receivers would have gone up and made plays. Go up and make something happen. Make plays. Look at Slaughter when he was in coverage at times. Man, there were times where he was actually in pretty good coverage, and guys just went up and came down with the football. Good players make plays, and that's what Georgia did to Tennessee on Saturday in Neyland Stadium.
Questions? Rob? Coach, can you just, I guess, address how, using this game as a measuring stick for where you were 2 years ago and still maybe how far you have to go and start to walk on, on defense? I mean, what does it say about the steps?
Yeah, we still got to continue to take steps. That's, in what we're doing as a program, it's our personnel, the depth of our program, all those things to continue to, climb the ranks inside of this league. That's a really good football team. You know what I mean? What they've done over the last couple of years is special, and we got ways to go.
David?
Josh, can you just talk about in the 4 losses that y'all have had, when other teams go on runs, it's just been difficult for y'all to
Oh, my gosh. Did you see that? In the 4 losses you have, man, he just looks at the ground with a big sigh. Oh, he's been through it. Coach Heupel's been through it.
A common thread or a common theme?
I don't think there is just one common thread. I thought in this one, our guys continued to compete. Like, I'm going to just speak from the offensive side of it. Being able to sustain and make the competitive play in this one, you know what I mean? I felt like this is different than early in the year when we were at Florida. End of the day, as a program, you got to find a way to be good enough on a Saturday afternoon, and that's everybody, from me to assistants to everybody that suits up and goes out there and plays ball.
You got to find a way to win when it's not going your way. When the run game's not working, you need a play. You need somebody to step up and make a play. That's why, man, I got annihilated on this channel when Nico committed to Tennessee, because I was talking about how you have to have a quarterback in 2022, 23, 24, this day and age, this type of football. You got to have an elite level quarterback in order to go win a national championship. So what does everybody say? Oh, look at Stetson Bennett. He sucks. He's a walk-on. I think Stetson Bennett was a pretty dang good quarterback. But when you're surrounded by 5 stars at every position, 2 and 3 deep, plug and play, and again, not an excuse, and I know Heupel mentions it here in this press conference as well. You don't get to use injuries as an excuse. But look where Tennessee's at after a couple of injuries. Will Brooks, a walk-on. Do you think Georgia has anybody that's a walk-on out there playing on defense? Absolutely not. Like, I'm curious. They're 2 deep. They're 3 deep. Where are they at? I know we say 5 stars 2 deep. That's not the case. They're not. They don't have 5 stars 2, 3 deep at every position, but they got a bunch of them. And that's why recruiting is so important, and that's why momentum in recruiting is important. And I know a lot of people think that because of this Georgia game, they had so many guys on campus, man, so many guys in the class of 25. They look at the environment, and Neyland was electric at the beginning of that game. And George McIntyre, I listened to his interview with VolQuest. They asked him about, the environment and the game, and he's like, look, everybody loses to Georgia. It is what it is. Like Georgia's on this winning streak for a reason. Do you think these kids just expected Tennessee to win that game? It's more about relationships. It's environment. People, old Vols JP, God love his heart, texted me, there ain't no way Jordan Seaton's coming to Tennessee after this mess. Jordan Seaton had a great visit. He enjoyed his visit. Jordan Seaton was also in town when Tennessee beat South Carolina. Night game, dark mode, electric atmosphere, hostile environment. He saw that. He saw what this fan base looks like. Some people put too much into one game, to one loss. How does Heupel close this class of 24? You know, we usually see you start to get to this point in a coach's career where it starts to define him. You have to keep trending up. You can't fall off. You're building up. You got to close. You got to close in this class of 25, and then you got to get after some of those class of 20, close in the class of 24, and then get after some of those guys in 25. I don't know if George McIntyre ultimately ends up here or if he ends up at Alabama, but if he does commit to Tennessee, I think he's going to come off the board. I think they said probably January or February. You get George McIntyre in the boat, that's going to create enormous momentum in the class of 25 because then you got your quarterback in Nico that's here. You got Jake Merklinger coming in as a freshman. You also got Gaston Moore as that middle guy. I think that's crucial with this football team right now. And then you have George McIntyre coming in behind that. These skill position players are going to know, all right, Tennessee's got all the quarterbacks in the world. They are lined up. They're ready. You had two of the top offensive tackles in the country in the class of 25 here. They had good visits. The visit weekend went well for Tennessee, but you got to close. You got to close. Let's hear more.
Paige, then Adam.
Was your all's inability to find rhythm on offense more of a you guys thing or what Georgia was showing you?
A little bit different structure than not every down. Anticipated some of it. Their personnel and us managing and being efficient in what we're doing. And then the third downs, you know, a lot of that was man-to-man and being able to protect it, be able to get it off, being able to go win in a one-on-one situation. We're doing some things to try to give them, you know, some space to create some space for them to win. And end of the day, you got to be good enough to go make plays.
Josh, everybody's trying to figure out how to close the gap with that program. Yeah. You mentioned depth. Do you do that through stacking recruiting classes? Do you do it through the portal? How do you manage to close the gap personnel-wise?
Well, I think it's a combination of all of those things. You know, as we started, obviously, year one, we were way down on number of scholarships. You know, we've gotten closer to 85. You're trying to develop some young guys from within. I think that's important. You know, they've done that. They've added, you know, through the portal too, but a lot of it's been, you know, kids inside of their program. So we got to continue to develop and recruit.
Does it make it more difficult, the fact that year two, you are so close to closing that gap? Does that make the challenge any different?
I don't think it makes the challenge any different. You know, we've played good football. We haven't played it for 4 quarters every Saturday afternoon. And in our losses, that has shown up. Not taking anything away from them. They're a really good football team. You know, today was not our best football. And this, I said it earlier, this game doesn't care. There's no asterisks. You know what I'm saying? Like, next man's got to be up and got to go play at a championship level.
You said a couple times that this game doesn't care, that the guys are banged up, but when you don't have both starting tackles available to start the game, you're down 2 starting receivers. How much more difficult does that make finding rhythm in the pass game with kind of all those sliding pieces there?
Well, it's different than if you have those guys, but at the end of the day, like, you got to line up and the 11 got to go play against their 11, and we got to find a way to go win in the run game, in the pass game, like all of it. And, you know, we didn't do a good enough job today as an offensive unit, and I'm including coaches in that too.
This is a very awkward post-game press conference. It's like the media is trying to give him every out in the world. Usually the media is hammering you, right? Usually they're criticizing you. They're all over you. They're giving him every excuse in the book, like injuries. And he's like, I don't care about injuries. It doesn't matter who's in the football game. You got to go win one-on-ones. And it's like, well, but you've got injuries. Does that make it more difficult, Coach? And it's kind of funny. I saw Tom, I saw you in the chat earlier talking about when Cainer said, you know, coaches don't get paid enough. And I know, yeah, you get paid $9 million. So I understand saying that's a weird take. But in 2023, to be a head football coach, and they're asking him, how do you close this talent gap? Man, these guys get no days off. 0. No days off, right? I mean, you're recruiting high school kids. You're recruiting, you know, JUCO kids. You're recruiting kids in the transfer portal. There's so much going on. You're also trying to recruit your own players. That's why they're putting some of these restrictions in for the transfer portal, because these coaches never get a break. You know, imagine Imagine you're talking about some of these young guys like Ricky Gibson and Jordan Matthews, true freshmen that have a ton of potential. Typically, you let a freshman sit there and you develop them, and then they go and they play as a sophomore, junior, or a senior, depending on how good they are. Now you're worried about giving them enough run, making sure they get enough playing time so they don't hit the transfer portal, they don't get their feelings hurt because they don't get to go play on Saturday. Man, it's a difficult time to be a head football coach with everything that's going on in college football. NIL, how do you manage the locker room, the chemistry issues with NIL? Let's hear more from a defeated, deflated. Man, look at that face. He's so pissed off, but I like it. I like a coach that's pissed off. We need a quarterback that's pissed off.
Concerning is that offensive line situation now. A couple more guys go down today. Don't know what it is. But
Yeah, we'll know more. Yeah, we're thin. If you got any eligibility, let me know.
That offensive – there's a smile. Look at it, Coach. Look at Coach. Look how happy he is. Man, that offensive line is beat all to pieces. And, I mean, you got Cooper Mays out there. That's it. That's it. Everybody else, your starting tackles, your starting guards, everybody's banged up, man. You're still going to go take care of business against Vanderbilt, favored by 26. You're going to take care of business. Then you're going to go to a bowl game. Hopefully you go win a bowl game and carry some momentum into the offseason.
Two back-to-back tough losses, obviously, and imagine the season hasn't gone the way that you all wanted it to.
Yeah, not how anybody wanted it to or what they worked for it to as well. You know.
How confident are you that they'll regroup and still be ready to kind of attack the week coming up to?
You don't like the scoreboard, you know what I mean? But our guys continued to play out there. They continued to compete. And wasn't good enough, you know what I'm saying? But they continued to play hard. So this is a resilient group. They're a prideful group.
Mike and David. Yeah, Josh, with Nico, is there any thought of him going into the fourth quarter? And is the fact that he's at 3 games and in the final game an indication that redshirt is the plan for him?
Well, at this point, just because there's only one regular season, you know, I mean, there's a lot of variables that are taking place outside on that field today and what type of situation you want to put him in.
Josh, obviously Georgia's going for a third straight national championship. How does you face them now?
So was that it? Was that where he's basically saying that Nico's going to redshirt? Like, he didn't really say that. He's just saying with the situation. And I understand that at this point in the season, you know, maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe the plan 2 months ago wasn't to redshirt him, but because of you didn't take care of business, you didn't get the opportunities that you wanted to put him in games. Maybe because of that, now you go ahead and redshirt him. Why not? The plan is not for Nico to be here for 5 years. So, but I mean, if he only plays in the 4 games, of course you're going to redshirt him. He'll roll out there next year as a redshirt freshman, and that's fine. It is what it is. But that's not the plan. That's not the goal. I've also seen some interesting stuff floating around Twitter. I wanted to ask Cain about this, but didn't get a chance to. Here goes the internet again. We'll see if we can hang in there with you guys and finish up the show. But I've seen some stuff that Nico's family wanted him to redshirt. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how accurate that is. You know how the internet is. You know how Twitter is. It doesn't really matter. If Nico's here for 5 years, guess what? He's not who we thought he was. The plan is for Nico to be here 3 years and go off to the NFL. That's the plan. That's why Jake Merklinger is important. That's why George McIntyre is important. You get those guys on campus and you start to build that quarterback room back up. But if Nico's here 5 years, then I'm not saying he wouldn't be good, but he's not as good as we think he is.
3 times. How is this team? Is this team every bit as strong as the past 2? How's this team maybe different from
This team continued to get better throughout the course of the season. I don't know how many first-round draft picks they'll have. They're still big, long, athletic, physical, play with great fundamentals, technique. Like, it's a good football team. To do what they've done, you have to be a good team.
Patrick. Josh, you obviously had explosive high-scoring offenses throughout your coaching tenure.
Yeah.
This has not been one for this season. I think you guys.
It's been a long time since we've looked at the scoreboards the way we have this year.
Why would that be, Josh?
SEC games. How frustrating has that been for you, being that it's so out of character for what?
Yeah, really disappointing that we haven't found a way to, put more points on the board and help this football team win.
Whatever inefficiencies you all saw on defense against Missouri seems to have been addressed in that first half against Georgia. How would you assess the level of effort from the defense from the first half to the second half?
Yeah, throughout the course of the game, I thought they were physical. They played hard. Did a better job for a majority of the night of tackling. That was something that hurt us. Still let the quarterback out early in the football game to make some plays with his feet on third down that, sustain some drives for them.
Joe, last question.
Josh, obviously a lot of programs in this league are chasing them and Alabama. When it comes to recruiting, how much is just the years of the success, championships, guys going to the pros that they both have, how hard is that to contend with? How big of a part of the pie is that?
Some of it, for sure, but I actually, some of the success that we've had on the field, but also like what our guys have done as far as going on to the NFL and the development inside of our program has been big, and recruits recognize that too. So that needs to be something that helps us as we continue to go recruit at a high level.
Thank you, Coach.
I think, I mentioned year 3 earlier, right? Year 3 is when you start to turn the corner. This is when the rubber hits the road. You start filling up your roster with your guys, and then you have no more excuses. And I'm not saying Josh Heupel makes excuses. I think he's a guy that walked on campus day one and said, we're going to go win football games, and never once talked about the lack of talent or any of that stuff like Jeremy Pruitt did. But when you start getting into year 3, year 4 is when you have to start winning and winning consistently, because if not, that's when the questions come, right? Year 1, year 2, year 3. Look, there's so many excuses built in here, right? Josh Heupel shows up, NCAA investigation looming. He shows up a couple of weeks before signing day for that first year, and then you've got an NCAA investigation hanging over your head for an entire year. That's another out. That's another, kind of a free pass there. But now the NCAA investigation's gone. It's over with. Now you're rolling out of year 3, looking at 8-4. So what does year 4 look like? That's when you really have to start turning the corner, because no more, you can't sell it on, we're rebuilding. That's what you tell these kids. You got an opportunity to come play. You got an opportunity to rebuild this thing, and that's what you got Nico in the boat. You spent that NIL money. You got Nico in the boat, and that was huge. But now you've got to continue that momentum. There's no more free passes. You're starting to plateau. Do you go up or do you go down? Because this fan base, somebody said 7-5 next year. 7-5 next year, this fan base is going to turn on him. They are. Nico better be good, because if Nico's not good, guess what? This fan base they are going to be all over Josh Heupel. Next year is when push comes to shove. People are going to be questioning Josh Heupel in 2024. Do I think he's going to go win a national championship? I have no idea. A lot of it is going to go back to why he gets paid $9 million, roster management. How many of these offensive linemen can you convince to come back for that COVID year? How many defensive linemen can you get to come back for that COVID year? How do you develop Nico? What has he done this season? Is Nico ready to go? We all think he is. We all hope he is. We're going to find out. But 2024 is when I think Josh Heupel, the pressure is on. Look, it's the SEC. Look at Jimbo Fisher. People don't care about money. Look how much money Jimbo Fisher is making for underachieving. Tom says if we go 7-5, next season is a complete and total disaster. Even 8-4 is unacceptable. Yeah, when you look at the schedule, you're probably, I'm probably with you there, Tom. Probably with you. But I don't think 8-4 is acceptable this year. Like, I don't. Just the way the season played out, the way the schedule laid out, I don't think 8-4, it's leaving a sour taste in my mouth. But that's going to do it for this. We're going to wrap this thing up. Hopefully Spectrum is out there working hard. They've been working hard for 2 weeks now, and nothing is changing. They're spending plenty of my money, though, trying to rebuild this stuff. But, hey, nobody cares. It's my job to get on here, hang out, talk to you guys, put on a good show. We'll be live tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, playing NCAA football. Come hang out. It's always a good time. We talk Tennessee football. We also goof off and have fun. That's where this community is built, man. You've never been a part of an NCAA stream. Come hang out. Come check it out. We'll be live Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Friday morning, myself, Coach Jay, and Coach Rice, all going to be going live Friday morning, breaking down the Tennessee Vanderbilt game, so come join us for that. But that is going to do it for this one. Go check out the merchandise, the brand new Cultivate shirts, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. We'll catch up with you guys later. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.